talking?
Turkey?
Turkey.
Turkey.
We're going to show you how to cook the perfect bird.
Yeah, and how to carve it right. And we're back with personal chef Bill Collins, chefbill.com.
Yep.
This looks so good.
It's now time to carve the turkey. I did do this ahead of time. I did not start this at the beginning of the show, I must admit. A couple things about carving a turkey. And actually, if you haven't, if you're doing your planning now, a lot of times they come with a little pop-up timer. What you want to do is not use the pop-up timer, because what's going to happen is it's going to give you a wrong time. You want to take the temperature of the bird at the inner thigh, about 165, 170 degrees.
Now, Bill, there's something that you wanted people to know when they have this timer. You want them to take it?
Yep, and just chuck it away.
Just throw it away somewhere.
Yep, just toss it, because you don't want to have it.
That's what you want.
That's what I want people to do.
Just pick it up before the toddlers are able to get it.
Don't let the dog eat the
That's what I think
timer.
about.
That's right, yeah, because the dog will like it because it smells like turkey.
Oh, no.
So now in this case, I did not stuff this turkey. The difference between a stuffed and an unstuffed turkey is about 5 minutes per pound, so it could be an hour or more for stuffing the turkey. So just for today, so since I didn't stuff it, I put some onions in.
So you should always put something in just in case.
Well, what it does is it gives you flavor. So it's not like it's a space filler. What it is since I've got all the empty space, I might as well put something flavorful in there.
Yeah.
You can
Right.
put lemons in, whatever you want.
Lemons.
So I've got the onion in there, so I've just taken that out. So now, what you want to do, I always think of turkey carving as taking apart a jigsaw puzzle. And
A delicious jigsaw puzzle.
A delicious jigsaw puzzle, because it's got a specific way it's constructed. You can hear that crispy skin. And what you want to do is kind of carve around the leg and come up a little bit more there. Now you notice I'm not using a full long chef's knife, I'm using a shorter knife. That's because since so much of the work you're doing with the knife is at the beginning end, you get a lot more control when you use a shorter knife. Now, one thing you can do is, you see is pulling apart the thigh. You can also take the whole thigh off at this point as well.
So you kind of just want to let the turkey guide you almost.
And that's exactly it, because you see where the joint is right there? And that
Oh, and it just falls apart.
falls right off the bone. And so now I'm going to take the thigh off as well. It's still quite warm, because you want to let it rest for about 20 minutes or so after it comes out.
Those are the longest 20 minutes of Thanksgiving.
It is, because everybody is just dying to get to it.
And you can smell it. And so that's the dark meat, right?
That's
the
the dark
thigh
meat,
the
and that's
leg.
the thigh. So now I'm going to turn this over, and now, just as we did before, I'm going to be cutting around the joint, just like that, and just carving like that. And what's going to happen is, pardon me, as I pull the tongs away, and I'm going to pull apart there, and I'm going to pull apart, and then just take the drumstick off.
Okay.
Well, Chef Bill, feel free to cut me off just a teeny bite-sized piece, because we have a caller. Now, caller, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Hi, Michelle.
What's your question?
Well, if we cook the turkey the night before, how shall we reheat it without drying it out? Should we carve it as he just did right there?
You're absolutely, yes, Michelle, you've absolutely hit it correctly. Is what I prefer to do is, once it's cooled down a bit, is you want to carve it and then put it in the fridge overnight. Don't let it sit out on the counter overnight. And then in the morning, when you're about an hour or so, 40 minutes before you're ready to eat, you'll have all your parts. Do not slice the breast meat. Don't carve the white meat. Leave it whole, and I'll show you how to do that in a moment. Once you've done that, put it in a roasting pan with a little bit of stock, maybe a half an inch or so, and then cover it with aluminum foil. And then put it in the oven at about 325, maybe 350, and that range is fine. You don't have to be very exact about that, because especially if other things are warming in the oven. The reason you want to put the stock in is so it'll stay moist, and also by putting the foil on top, it'll keep the whole thing moist and heat faster. Now, that can soften the skin a little bit. Everybody likes crispy skin, so you can also at the very end take the either take it out and put it on just a pan without the liquid, or just take the foil off the top. But what that'll do for you is heat it up gently and still keep it moist, and then you'll be able to get the crispy skin.
Now, what about broiling it at the last second? Would that help? Or would that, you're just going to risk ruining your Thanksgiving?
I think there's especially with Thanksgiving, so many things are going on. Yes, you can if you got everything well under control. Give it just a moment to crisp the skin, but you don't necessarily have to do that. Just leave it in the oven for those few extra minutes, because the oven will be heated. Well, it should take care of that.
Well, Michelle, did we answer your question?
Yes, you did perfect, and I will stay tuned to hear the rest of your segment. Thank you.
Well,
Thank you.
Miss Michelle. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving to you, Ashley and Seth. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Thanks,
Bye.
you too. Hey, by the way, Ashley, not you, wants
me.
to know, do you cover the turkey when it first goes in the oven?
But I'd still like to know.
No, actually, what you want to do, because that's going to keep it from browning, you want to do the opposite. You see how this is a little bit browned?
It's perfect. It is cooked perfect.
And actually, what I did was that cooked for about 2 hours or so in the oven. And when it was starting to get, and I was basting it after the first hour. And what I did was, once it was got to be this color, I put a foil tent over it, as it's called. But you want to do it shiny side up. The reason is that will deflect some of the heat on, because you don't want to intensify the heat down. If you forget that part, no big deal. But that's just one little helpful thing to do.
So you definitely do want to keep the foil off in the beginning.
Yes,
All right,
because
so
it won't brown. It'll just kind of get a tan color.
Good to
So,
know.
yep, don't
We
do it
have
at the beginning.
Another question for you from online. Marilyn wants to know how she can make a low-fat stuffing.
Low-fat stuffing. Well, actually, what we did was a low-fat stuffing, because you can go with skim milk instead of milk. If you want to go with
egg whites,
you can go with egg whites or egg beaters if you want to watch the cholesterol for those. So right there, you've eliminated a lot of that. The turkey or the chicken stock, if you use that, it's fat-free.
Instead of oils and
Exactly.
butters. And then the other thing that I did, actually, I made a quinoa stuffing last year, which was pretty tasty,
Yep.
too, in case you don't want to use bread.
Exactly.
That's true.
So now, one other thing about when do you put the stuffing in the bird? And some people think you can put it in the night before, just throw everything in the next day. Don't stuff the bird until you're ready to roast it, because what's happening is there are eggs and other things in there, and bacteria can build up in there. So you can mix the stuffing up beforehand, but don't put it in the turkey until it's ready to roast.
Okay.
So now I'm going to take the whole breast meat off at once. And the reason, instead of doing slices like this will give you the opportunity to cut slices just as you want them to be, without any waste, but also it makes for actually a nicer looking presentation. So with the earlier call on how to reheating it, so you can take it off the bone like this, but heat it entirely like that. Don't slice it. And then when the time comes, you can just slice it like that, and then put the whole thing on the platter, and you've got the smaller pieces exactly as you need it.
Oh, it's going to be the best Thanksgiving this year.
Well,
Getting your
exactly.
questions answered. It's fantastic.
Right. Chef
Thank
Bill,
you.
you've given us just a tease of how to cut the turkey, but online we have a web exclusive. It's Turkey Carving 101 from start to finish. It's with Chef Bill, and it's only available on our website, so you've got to check it out, mymassappeal.com.
Okay, so we did go out in the community, last week. We go out,
Yep.
we try to get out a lot, and we talk to our viewers.
Yeah.
And we asked them to give us their best gobble.
Before we
So
start,
can
Chef Bill,
you
wanna give us a gobble?
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Gobble, gobble.
Go, that's
not a bad
perfect.
gobble.